Well, good morning. It's Richard Wishart. It's Camsar. It's 9 o'clock till 9:30 every working day. Today's Thursday, and it's about connecting Cambridgeshire businesses with the world. And the topic for today is the ecosystem, the social media ecosystem. I had a bit of a false start. I started broadcasting and then I think I hit the wrong button, so I lost it. So it wasn't a technical problem this time; it was a human problem. But here we are in lovely Cambridgeshire. It's a bit overcast today, so this is the view from my office and my outer office. All the buddleia bush is in full bloom. We're just wanting some butterflies today, and it's August in the business world, so a lot of people are on holiday. But while everybody else closes down, social media keeps going, and this is why I'm doing my Camsar Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock every morning. And today's subject is the social ecosystem. So welcome to my scope. I'll get started. Now, the subject for today is the ecosystem, and this is I'll show you this picture. This was a scope that I followed yesterday, and you may sort of, oh, hi Sam. Why have I got this particular scope up? Well, I just think it shows the diversity in the social ecosystem. I was doing a scope yesterday, which was about a new feature that's on Periscope called periscope.tv / couch mode. And in couch mode, you can skip through all the broadcasts live on your television, on your normal PC. You don't have any choice about what you watch. You just watch a stream, and if you know the app, you've got one of the icons is the world, and if you look in that world view, you see all the scopes that are coming up, and it virtually follows that same stream and allows you to step through them. So anyway, yesterday I was having a little bit of a rant about some of the lower quality scopes on Periscope. When I was doing this, when I was doing the couch mode, you can step through them, and there was it just sort of stood out that there was hi Jessica. It really stood out that there was some very poor quality within Periscope. And then just shortly after I finished I did my scope on this yesterday, and I had a sort of bad feeling about it, because I know there's some really good stuff, but there's also quite a lot of rubbish on Periscope. So you got to be very discerning. You got to actually work out your ecosystem. That's what I'm talking about today. Anyway, I just finished my scope, and I went back onto the Periscope TV, onto couch mode, and I came across this, and it looks pretty boring. It's a couple of guys in suits in a boardroom talking to you can see the voice conferencing device on the table in front of them. That's obviously what they're looking at. But I found this really interesting. This was a bank. So the bank was called ING Bank from the Netherlands. It's a European bank. It's not very active in the UK. And the bank had just announced their annual results. So what they'd done was they set up a conference call with journalists, so that the CEO of ING Bank, the guy on the left, and the finance director of ING Bank, the guy on the right, could talk to them about the results that they'd achieved last year. And they had Periscope in the room. And I thought, hey, this is really interesting. This is the first commercial organisation I've seen who have thought it important to broadcast their annual results, which is a big deal for a bank, on a channel like Periscope. So anyway, the journalists were asking their questions. I didn't think anybody was really paying that much attention to the Periscope feed, and a lot of the comments on Periscope were coming up. Well, do these guys not understand this medium? What on earth do they think they're doing? This is so boring, and lots of inane comments, or not inane, but just not really thought through. But I thought it was great. So while they were on camera, I went onto Google. Googled. I Googled their press release, found information on the press release, and then I started asking some serious questions of the guys. So I said, okay, last year you had 600,000 extra customers. What's all that about? How did you manage that? And I was asking some interesting fact-based questions. I also asked things like, your return this year was over expectations, so you made, I can't remember the number, or something like that, well, you made 1.6 billion pounds as opposed to the analyst's expectation of 1.2. So what's all that about in a declining market? So this is a bank that was prepared to go live with its chief executive and its finance director open to scrutiny, not just to journalists, but also to the public. The beauty was, I asked some of these questions. I wasn't getting real responses in real time because they weren't geared up for that. But hey, you know what? I got a tweet afterwards saying, thank you for your really interesting questions. And can we follow up with you? So I've now got Ingbank following me on Periscope and on Twitter. And I've made a little bit of an impression. And it's quite, I'll put you back onto me so you can see me, because I think it's a bit rude not to sort of show yourself in your scopes. But I just thought that was really, really interesting. If you just excuse me for a second while I get you up on my Periscope stand. There we go. So here we are. Yeah. So it was I just thought that was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. That a large organisation, they're not. I don't know whether they're an FT 100 company, but they're about that sort of scale. They're a big organisation, a bank, and a bank as well. Bank getting a lot of bad press at the moment. Prepared to put their CEO and the finance director not just into a good morning, Mervyn. So not just prepared to put their CEO and their finance director onto a voice call with journalists, but putting themselves up on Periscope. So I was really rocked back on my heels because I'd been having a fairly good go at the soft, nasty underbelly of Periscope, and bang, up on the live feed came a bank giving its result. Environmentalist? Yeah, I suppose I am to an extent. I'm not a particular environmentalist, but I know what you're getting at. So what I'm trying to find is I'm trying to curate my own content, find the good people to follow, find good things, and this was spot on. And this was spot on for me particularly. It's not an area I deal in very much now, but at one stage in my career I went to the London Stock Exchange at the time of Big Bang deregulation, and my responsibility was in the primary market systems area. So I was responsible for all the primary market systems, and one of the systems was the company news service, where no, I'm not a football fan, where the company news service system, which was where companies first broadcast their results to the world. And the way we used to do it there was we got company reports, we edited them, we put out on Topic, which was the market information system. And okay, so I don't think that's really appropriate. So okay. So I had a subtle troll there. So we got rid of the subtle troll. So, but you see, this was relevant to what I did when I was at the stock exchange. It's market information, how you bring market information to Hi Marvin, good to see you on board. Yeah, I've been watching some of the program about the post office. It's not particularly the area I was involved in, I was involved in Royal Mail and Parcel Force. And this was talking about the post office, the high street post office. But it's the same sort of thing. It's the companies getting a public profile, working, making themselves open to the public, having a public debate. And one of the things about the post office program on the television that's been running recently is that their CEO is up on is on the program and talking to the public, which I think is great. The CEO of the post office, I know her quite well through my social media. So she's one of my LinkedIn contacts, and she's part of my Postal Innovation LinkedIn group on LinkedIn. I've got about 4,000 top executives in my industry on that. But what she does on the CEO of the British Post Office, she's actually quite unique. A lot of the CEOs of large organisations like the Post Office don't get themselves in front of the camera. They hide away. So they really need to come front and centre. And that's what was brilliant about this thing that I saw yesterday. So have the CEO and the finance director sitting in front of a Periscope camera, answering live questions, was, I thought, fantastic. That's the sort of thing I would like to see on Periscope. Okay, it may be a small demographic. Many people might like to be speaking about television shows and the cult of what do you call it, celebrity, all that sort of stuff, which doesn't really interest me. But it was, oh, hi there, good, welcome from Sweden. Sorry, I can't see your name in your handle, but you're more than welcome. So this was a big sort of mind thing for me. So here was me talking about some of the rubbish stuff that I'm seeing on Periscope, and then I was just knocked back in my seat by seeing the CEO and a financial director of a major financial organization appearing in public, answering questions about the results of their company. And I thought, hey, we've just got to really. This social media is a broad church. There's lots of people with lots of different interests. And fair enough, you can have people doing cult of celebrity and all that sort of stuff. But I'm interested in business. So if I can see content like this starting to appear and that you can engage with in a sensible way, I think that is fantastic. So that was now my number one big one for yesterday. That really sort of knocked me back on my heels, which is good. And then the second one was a good friend of mine called. There's a group of us on. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was quite shocked because it did seem to be the wrong audience. The thing that people were putting up on Periscope when they were watching it did seem to see that it was a bit wrong for that type of demographic. But hey, you can have that sort of demographic, and you can have multiple demographics. You can have multiple ecosystems. The platform is just the platform, and what you've got to do is you've got to sort of carve out your little area of the platform and make it yours for your demographic, for your industry, for your interests. And the second bit that happened to me yesterday, which again was fantastic, was I'm quite well connected in with a group called the Perry Scots. I'm sorry, mate. There's a fellow came up saying no one cares. Well, I care, so you're gone. So the second one that came up, I'm one of my very first. I'm getting trolled this morning. So I didn't catch that one, so I won't be able to. If they come up again, I'll get rid of them. So if you just excuse me for a minute, I don't stand trolls on my broadcasts, and they get short shift, I'm afraid. No, the other bit that I was going to talk about, the other really positive one yesterday was some of the first people I connected with on Periscope were okay. So God, they're active this morning, little buggers. Sorry. That's another two trolls gone. There's some people who don't have enough to do with their lives, isn't there? Anyway, I'm not talking about that demographic. I'm not really interested in that demographic. If they come on my broadcast, they get blocked straight away. I don't stand any nonsense. Yeah, no, what I was going to say was the other really positive one yesterday was talking about the bank coming on, giving its results in public. I thought that was good. Then later on in the evening, I had a more reflective discussion with the Perry Scots. So the Perry Scots are a group of guys that I from Scotland who are very active in social media and very, yeah, no, absolutely cute. But I don't, but you don't let them dominate your discussion. So we'll have this good discussion elsewhere. The the Perry Scots, a few guys from Scotland, and I'm Scottish myself, although I live in Cambridgeshire, I'm originally Scottish, and as you can probably tell from the accent. So the Perry Scots are a group of fairly disparate group of people in Scotland, about, I don't know, probably about 10, 12 people, who are very active on Periscope, very active on social media, all doing slightly different things. But we have a chat, and yeah, the trolls are really busy today, but so am I. So there was Chris Marr, who's one of the Perry Scots, came on and had a broadcast, and he was talking about something that had affected him during the day. I picked it up; I was watching it as well, but there was quite a well-known commentator on social media who was being quite negative about Periscope, and that sort of freaked Chris out a little bit. Didn't quite understand why one of the people that he'd actually looked up to in terms of commentating on the social media industry had suddenly taken this negative view. And Chris's discussion really was about positive and negative people and how you relate to them more generally within you. If you're running your own business, how do you keep yourself positive? How do you make yourself in that sort of positive way? And a group of Perry Scots were on the broadcast. It was quite a limited number. It was about eight or 10 of us. I didn't comment too much, but I listened because I thought it was quite an interesting discussion. And Chris was bringing out different. He's quite academic. He's bringing out the different books on this subject and trying to get into the trying to analyse it quite strongly. Now, I don't particularly read. Yes, I have. I've had quite a few idiots this morning. got that other tranche Mervyn this morning. So I've been quite lucky so far. So I haven't had too much of it. But this morning there's been quite a few. So anyway, Chris Marr is quite academic, and he was bringing out. He's actually at work still at about 10 o'clock at night, and he was bringing down some of the books from his bookshelf to talk about, how do we analyse this positive and negative thing. And I thought, well, it's a really good point. I believe quite strongly that you've got to surround yourself with positive people. There are some negative people. There's people who are naturally negative, who are still quite good people. And there's people who are negative they suck the air out of the room because they're so negative and you can't get past them. So you have got to actually work out some of these more soft issues for yourself as you on social media. So the trolls are really negative and they don't even stand a chance. But, if you get into a discussion and you've got some ideas, you're trying to put some ideas forward, people are continually shooting them down in a negative way, that's not good. So what you've got to try and do is surround yourself with like-minded, positive people. Make sure the place you're in is positive. Keep yourself positive. Have a positive mental attitude inside your head, and just work that way. It is so easy to be drawn down by. No, it's quite easy to be drawn down. Trolls don't bother me at all. Trolls, I understand them and I block them. They're quite easy to understand. I can't for the life of me work out how they get any form of enjoyment from what they do. What's the point? But controlling your audience is something that I think the social media needs to do a little bit more of. On Periscope now, they've still got the same sort of attitude as Twitter, which is a mass audience and no segmentation within that audience. So it's quite hard to find the people who are interested in the subjects that you're talking about. I guess that's maybe one of the reasons for some of the trollings or people coming in and out of scopes. If you've got a very good topic and you've got people regularly coming in to talk about that topic, you can see your audience, you can see that demographic, and you can grow that demographic. but it's actually quite hard when you're not categorizing, you're not allowing people to categorize themselves, as to what their interests are and how you can have a discussion with them about their interests. I've seen a number of attempts from social media platforms to play with this game about how you segment, how you categorize your audience. And one of the ones that looked quite good to start off with on, which were circles where your way of segmenting into different areas. And when you're putting posts out, you could send it to a particular circle, not to tell them they were in a circle, but you could actually send information to a particular segment of your audience. And I noticed that Google Plus, about a month ago, they changed that paradigm a bit. I think they still kept circles because that's something that was at the core of the product, but they changed another bit to, they had communities, which was a way of trying to group people, and that worked to a certain extent. That's still quite good. But then they actually went it by topic. So when you now link to someone on Google Plus, you can link to them by not just their name, but their topic that they speak about. So I now categorize all my posts on Google Plus by topic, and people can look at Richard Wishart, Cambridgeshire Business, Richard Wishart, Postal Innovation, Richard Wishart, e-commerce, and they can actually link to me by a particular topic. So when I'm speaking on a particular topic, they would see it's that topic. So segmentation is still in its infancy, actually trying to segregate your audience, but it's really important to build your ecosystem. And where I think the Periscope really plays a major part in the way it does it is the level of engagement you can get with people when you're on a scope. Very much on the social media platforms that I'm involved in, so Twitter, Google Plus, LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you can have good discussions, but the discussions are sending textual information to someone, then responding to it, and maybe building up a textual conversation, which is a bit slow. It's a bit not in real time. You're not seeing the people's faces when they're talking to you about it. You're not judging their authenticity, the strength of the argument based on what they're telling you. So this product, Periscope, I haven't tried Meerkat, but Periscope with this live streaming concept, although it's a bit one-sided, it's not a true discussion, true conversation, but it does have a leader. The person who starts the conversation is the leader, sets the agenda for the discussion. It's the closest I've found to real engagement. And I think that is the real power of this type of tool. Almost instant engagement. So there's no setup. When people are going to broadcast, there's no setup time. Just put in the title, set your location, hit your Twitter message, and bang, you're live. And you can do it from a smartphone, a tablet. You're instantly online. So you've got no technology barriers to getting online and having your discussion. So it's very positive in that way, and I think it's a game changer. I use the word disruptive. Some people say that's a little bit too much of a technical term, but this is a game changer. And what it means, what a game changer or disruption means, is that the old model, once you have a game changer in the market, the old models are redundant. So what we need to see from the other players in the social media market, sort of like the Google Plus and Twitter, Google Plus and LinkedIn, they need to raise their game considerably. LinkedIn has become a little bit staid. I called it the leafy suburbs, the comfortable zone. Periscope is anything but comfortable, but it's almost like the Wild West compared with the leafy suburbs of suburbia. But LinkedIn needs to re-energize its game and start getting some functionality out and some video functionality out. I haven't got any video functionality at all at the moment. And the other one, Google Plus has now been separated out from the Google platform. I don't think it's dead. I think it will re-energize, but it's a bit of a shame because they've taken away a social layer and replaced it with a social app. Now, I think that's a shame. Strategically, it might work, but yeah, I don't know what, Jessica, I don't know about Facebook that much. I don't really get engaged in Facebook very much. We have set up a Facebook page for I set up a page, or involved in setting up a page for our local business group in Huntingdon on Facebook. So I am on Facebook a bit, but I find some of my friends and family put stuff up on Facebook, so it's actually quite interesting from that point of view. But I haven't been doing it for business. I think you do have to make some choices. There's a whole range of social media platforms. You've got WhatsApp, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you've got Google Plus, you've got Periscope, you've got Meerkat, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. There's probably about another 20 in there. So you've actually got to make some choices about the technology you use for the ecosystem that you're interested in. So mine's mainly a business ecosystem, so you must be on LinkedIn. Google Plus gives you the hits, gives you the analysis hits, and is a really good way for posting pictures and video. And when you move into Hangouts on it, it's fantastic, really good. Twitter is a bit one-dimensional. It's a bit like a blob. It has no segmentation within it. But now you can easily post pictures in your tweets. You can do small, short video in your tweets. And business people shied away from Twitter for a long time, but actually you're foolish if you're not on Twitter. Twitter is a very good engagement tool. So you got to pick your tools. So I've picked LinkedIn, Google Plus, Twitter, and Periscope is there as well. Although, to be fair, I'm playing with Periscope at the moment. I'm really looking more at the functionality than the audience. I think the audience will come. I think it'll be harder to find for me as a business person. But it's the world has changed. Where you have a disruptive element within any market, everybody has got to respond to that disruption. If they don't respond to that disruption, and in this case it's instant video, if they don't respond to that disruption in a positive way and take it on board, then they are left behind and everybody else moves across. So it may just be a question of time. I think the instant video is a bit of a phenomenon at the moment. Although we have large Periscope had a huge take-up. I think it was, somebody was saying it reached, in the time that it took Twitter and Facebook to reach a million-size audience, which took them about 3 months, 6 months. Periscope did the same in a day, in a week. So it's that sort of change. So that's the sort of the quantum change that we're seeing. But then, although we've got large numbers on Periscope, the number of people actually broadcasting is quite small. So you've got two demographics. You've got your broadcasters, and you've got your broadcasters and your listeners. The listeners really are in two categories. So you've maybe got it's not a 2010 rule. I think it's a lot less than that. I think it's probably about a 5%, 95% split between your broadcasters and your listeners. So 95% listening, 5% broadcasting. But of the 95 listening, you've probably got, say 90% listening, you've probably got 30% engaging, 60% still not engaging. So we've got mainly broadcasters. We're building a bigger audience in terms of people who will engage, come onto a scope and engage. And we've still got quite a large number who are listening, who are watching before making a move. So it's an interesting game. I picked up quite a number. I follow quite a number of people commentators on Google Plus who talk about the platform, who talk about the ecosystem, and most of them are on Periscope, but none of them yet are broadcasting on Periscope. So really interesting. They are listening out to what is happening before they make a choice. It's a big choice. If you are a well-known commentator on the industry in Google Plus, and you move to Periscope, then you're sending out to your audience a big message. You're saying all the stuff I've told you on this old platform is maybe not that good because I myself have moved off onto this new platform. So they're sort of sitting and watching, and I think yes, it is a smart move on their part. It's quite tough to make the strategic decisions in a world and a marketplace that's moving so fast. I also watched an interesting broadcast last night on Periscope, which was four of the so-called advocates, the experts, the Periscope experts, chatting about how things are going, what the products are, and they're off talking about other products which I hadn't even heard of. And I thought, well, you can't. That doesn't work either. Just going off into you've got to have consistency in terms of people. You only get an audience when the audience are on a product. So you've actually got to decide on your product. You've also got to decide on your ecosystem, on your people, and your interest groups, and then you've got to try and build up your audience. And there was I think it was Chris Marr, but it wasn't anything to do with his broadcast. But he did a post about getting real with social media last night, which again hit the mark for me. There's no simple tricks to building a large social media audience or good social media audience. You've got to do it individual by individual. So it's a one-by-one process. You can't sort of say, well, I'll do the shortcut, I'll do this mass thing, tomorrow I'll have 2 million followers. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to build trust and you've got to build engagement with your audience slowly, one by one. And that's what it's about. Anyway, so a bit of a rant from me. I'm getting into this. Ranting thing a bit. Jessica, you've been putting up some good comments. What's your line of business? What do you do? I've seen you on Periscope. I think I've probably watched some of your broadcasts, but it does tend to blur a bit. So what's your area of interest? Yeah. So anyway, I hope that's been useful this morning. It was as I say, okay, so you're new on Periscope. Oh, excellent. So are you going to be doing some broadcasts? Are you going to try broadcasting on Periscope? We have I'm the chairman of a business group in Huntingdon called the elected chairman called Huntingdonshire Business Network, and I've been promoting it quite strongly to the HBN members. And last week we had a few. Yeah, please do. When you do, let me know, and I'll listen in and help you along. We've got some of our Huntingdonshire Business Network members onto Periscope the last couple of weeks, and we got one on the show today. Mervin's on, and Mervin did a live broadcast last week. I think it was Mervin, and it's tough because you're although you're a good communicator, although you are a good networker, you're good on video, you've done lots of this sort of stuff before, just using the new tool in a different ecosystem, different environment, it's quite hard. And it's you've got to adjust to a new medium and to a new way of working. So, okay. A mental health group currently comprising of nurses and, okay. So I think it's a good social media tool to get out to a mass audience, because the technology you require to get on board as a viewer is not hard at all. You can simply watch it. Building an audience might be harder. Yeah, patient privacy is definitely an issue that you need to be concerned about. The whole issue about actually broadcasting is not just the privacy issues, but it's also if you're taking pictures in public, you really should have the people's permission that you're taking the pictures of. Now, I know that's people are fairly loose with that analysis, but I think you've got to do it in a sympathetic way. And if you're talking about patients, then you've got a particular duty of care and privacy that you've got to deal with. But nevertheless, you can talk about things and you can get people to engage. Getting them on, talking about specifics is obviously extremely difficult, and getting people onto your broadcasts, I think, would be quite difficult as well. But why not? Why not think about this as a slightly different way of communicating. And of course, you can always do the closed scopes. You can do the there's two choices when you come on a Periscope. One is to do the public, and the other one is to do closed. So with closed people, you can invite specific people on. Yeah, you can always talk about things in a very generalized way, and if you can get people onto it to help you, that's fine. But it's you just got to work your way through. But the concept of being able to talk to a larger audience about a specific subject is really quite strong. Well, Jessica, I do hope you. I'm going to close down now because I think I've probably done my slot for this morning. But I'll be broadcasting later on today. Jessica, it's been really good chatting to you, and I wish you very best in your in your scope. Mervyn on the call as well. He does some alternative therapies, and he was, as you saw there, he was saying he has a similar sort of issue. But I think it will. I just think you've got to, just like me, I've got a particular interest. I think you go on to Periscope, you find people who are in a similar area to you who are broadcasting, see what they're doing, try and pick up the best practice within that type of area. Find people who are doing similar things to yourself. Promote people who are talking in your industry about the topics that you're interested in. Connect with them. And then build your audience. Your audience can either be straightforward patients as an audience. It could be sort of I would call it for me that would be a B2C audience, a business to consumer audience. Most of my stuff is business to business, so I'm looking for a business audience. But you can actually, you just build it in a... Okay, well, as I say, I'm just waffling a bit at the moment now. I've been told by some of my mentors, my coaches, that I shouldn't waffle so much. So I think I should really need to bring this Periscope to a close. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. And I'll be on again tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning on Camzar. And I might be doing some other scopes later on today. So thank you all very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And it's goodbye from a not quite so sunny Cambridge, but at least it's dry. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.